My name is Neal Stenzel. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am an accountant by trade. I work at a university called Oral Roberts University. And I have been, I've been introduced to Ashcroft a couple years ago, so I've been in 2 deals so far. I don't know that I specifically chose multifamily necessarily. I think what I was looking for was diversity. Okay, so you have retirement accounts and you have stocks and bonds and you have, your own personal home. But I had never really done, I had done private equity before as well, but more so in a business. You own X% of a operating business, not so much real estate, right? So I wanted to get into something a little bit different, and real estate was attractive to me. And Ashcroft has done it before, so I wanted to get in with somebody who had some experience, had done it before. So I figured let's give it a shot. And I had a friend that introduced me to Ashcroft. So a couple years ago, I jumped in. There's all kinds of objectives and goals out there, right? And so, like I said, I was kind of shooting for a little bit of diversification. But one of the things I like about Ashcroft is, this conversation about capital preservation. Okay, let's not lose our money. That'd be awesome. And then if we make money on top of that, so there's an income generation component, which is nice because not a lot of people can say, listen, I've got a whole bunch of money. I want to park it somewhere and not earn anything on it for 5 years and then just get like a big cliff, transaction, which is nice, but you got to go 5 years without any income. So I like the focus on capital preservation first, income generation during the interim, and the potential, no guarantee clearly, but a potential for a sale, a transaction, a bigger win down the road, right? But you can get there. You can wait 5 or 7 years if you've got a little income coming in, right? And the income is going to beat most of your dividend stocks, right? Your dividend stocks are paying, 2, 3, 4 something percent, 4.5. Whereas, if you can earn a little bit more than that, you can wait with your investment. So all of that in that order: capital preservation, income generation with the potential of maybe a bonus on sale, all very attractive to me. Any investment is a relationship, right? We can go out and invest in stocks and bonds and not have any kind of relationship whatsoever, right? But when you're investing in private equity, you're kind of getting in the canoe with somebody for a while. It's not really, I guess it's kind of a closed fund. It's closed for a while. You're parking your money for a multiple number of years, right? So there's a relationship component there, right? So I didn't know what to expect. People tell you what they're going to tell you. You choose what you're going to believe. But the only way to really know is to try it. And so I jumped in with a relatively small investment a couple of years ago, and I figured, let's try this. Let's just see. And if they're honest, they're going to do what they said they're going to do, and it's going to work, even on a small level. And if that works, then we can move into bigger. And sure enough, everything like clockwork happened just the way they said it would, and even a little bit better, to be honest. It was a situation where Ashcroft is under promising and over delivering. I did this to learn, right? I figured I would try something to branch out a little bit, do something different. And overall, over the last couple of years, I would use words like comfortable. I would use optimistic, pleased. I think Ashcroft has done everything they said they were going to do, which is actually nice in this world that we live in. So I have been encouraged. And as a result of the positive experience with the first investment, I jumped in the second investment in a much larger way. So yes, very positive. I'm a big fan of no surprises, right? I'm an accounting person by trade. I don't like a lot, especially financially, a lot of negative surprises, certainly. So, Ashcroft is sober in their marketing materials. They say, here's what we think we can do. And the idea would be to, in my mind, the idea would be to under promise and over perform or over deliver, right? Or at least deliver what we said we were going to do. I'm a huge fan of that. I don't like being marketed. I don't like saying, hey, we're going to make 15% and come in at 13. Even though 13 is awesome, it's not what we said, right? So I think one of the things that I'm probably the most pleased with Ashcroft is when they say something, it pretty much happens. If you're going to get a payment at the end of the month, it shows up at the end of the month, every month. We don't miss payments. We don't have a lot of excuses. There's not a lot of surprises. All good. No surprises. You can rely on, if they say it, they're going to do it. So consistency is a big deal, you know, and just integrity. You know, I will say, and this is maybe offline a little bit, but you know, one of the things that was significant for me in this relationship with Ashcroft. So my very first deal was about 2 years ago. So that would have been like January of 2020, right? So right before this pandemic starts, right? And so I figured I'd start doing deals about once a quarter or once every 6 months, something. Well, sure enough, the second deal shows up around like March or April, like right when the whole pandemic, the whole world is shutting down. I had actually already sent my money. Okay, I already wired the money. And when I wired it, I thought, you know, this is a really, really bad idea right now. This is you know, the world is shutting down. Nobody knows what's in front of us. It's not a great idea to be pumping a bunch of money into something you have no idea. This is unprecedented stuff. So I got all kinds of nervous and worried and concerned, like everyone else was. And so I reached out to Ashcroft and said, hey, listen, I don't know, this is a great idea, you know, and long story short, Ashcroft sent the money back. And I mean, that spoke volumes to me, to be honest. I mean, who does that? I mean, because you've already signed all the paperwork. I mean, you've already said, hey, you know, once I make this commitment, I'm making a commitment. And I actually had wired the money. So the money was already sent. I had done what I said I was going to do. And so the only thing was, hey, economically, environment-wise, this is probably not a great, in my view, not a great time to be invested a whole bunch of money. And you know, Ashcroft was amazing and kind enough and willing to return that money, which I thought was massive. I mean, you don't hear that kind of stuff, you know, on Wall Street or wherever else. Like, hey, you know, too bad for you. You know, should have thought about that before you signed the paperwork or sent the money, right? So that was big for the relationship for me. And so I thought, you know, if you can trust these people to do those kinds of things, surely we can trust them to do what they say they're going to do on everything else. And you know, I had this is back on what you would say to someone else, right? So when I was thinking about Ashcroft, you know, it's certainly an alternative investment for me. And one of the questions I had was, why Ashcroft, right? Or why multifamily, or why real estate, or why now, you know? And so I have some friends that are in the you know, kind of financial planning business. It's what they do. You know, they live and eat and breathe, you know, the stock market and investments and all this kind of stuff. And I asked them, I said, what would you say to me? And their statement was, go ahead and invest with somebody who's done it before. You need to make sure that they know what they're doing, that this is not, hey, we're going to give it a shot and we're going to use your money to take a risk. Do it with somebody who's done it before, who has a proven track record. And so I think that's another thing I would say, at least in my couple of years with Ashcroft, is I believe that. I'm seeing that with bank statements and personal transactions, you know. So personal track record, a little history is probably a good thing. For where I am, I'm trying to, you know, I'm kind of at the end of my career. I've been an accountant. I've gone to work every day, you know, 8 to 5, 8 to 7, 7 to 7, whatever the story is. And you know, you've raised your family. You kind of get to the point where you say, listen, at some point I would like to retire. At some point I would like to dabble in other things besides getting up and going to work every day, right? And so for me, this is a little bit of an income replacement sort of a conversation where you're saying, you know, let's get some investments. Let's see if we can make some of those investments grow, provide a little bit of income along the way, but also provide, you know, the potential for some upside down the road. And if you can get, you know, diversity is a big deal, right? Because I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the stock market. Okay, I think there's a ton of risk in the stock market. It's certainly not relational. It's just transactional. It's one and done kind of thing, you know. And I don't have a relationship with AT&T if I own AT&T stock, right? But I did want some diversification. I wanted some protection from wild market swings, and I wanted some income replacement, and you know, something I could do. I thought that if I could get this to work, right? If Ashcroft is everything that we think that it is, I can continue to make investments every 6 months or so, right? And you can build a portfolio, and you've got some protection because not all of your investments are in the same property, right? You even this value add fund, right? I mean, I forget what there are, 8 properties or 10 properties or something like that. So you've got some protection. So is it real estate? Yes, it's real estate. Is it private equity? Yes, it is. But I still think there's some protection in having sort of multiple deals in, you know, within Ashcroft, so the Ashcroft umbrella, if you will. So that was my thinking. I think it's all relationship. You know, I don't see myself as a one and done kind of like just jump in, you know, make a few dollars and get out. I'm kind of looking for somebody that I could have, some company, some group of people that you would have some semblance of a relationship. I mean, we're not going to be going out for lunch, you know, twice a week. I get that, but at the same time, you know, we both in a relationship, anybody in a relationship, we have to establish credibility. You have to know that you can trust me when I say I'm going to do something. Then you need to know that you can trust me to actually do what I said I'm going to do also, right? It's not just a one-way street. I'm expecting you guys to do what you say you're going to do, and you're expecting me, you know, to do what I say I'm going to do, to comply with the terms of the agreement and all of these kind of things. So I think this whole thing is a relationship. And so you basically asked me to do a favor. So I'm willing to do you a favor. So if it helps, great. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you throw it in the trash can, great. We've had a nice time to talk this morning, and it's, you know, it's just a willingness to help out. The only question is, you know, how much money, you know, do you want to divert, convert, move over, you know, into the real estate segment? So for me, would I? Yes. But you get into this balancing act, right? So like, do you move like 100% of what used to be in the stock market or retirement assets over into multifamily real estate properties? Probably not wisdom. So, you know, the short answer is, do I expect to? Yes. I just jumped into this value add fund with you guys in a pretty big way in just a few months ago. So I'm just kind of new even into that one. I know you're opening up the value add fund 2, which I'm kind of watching, but at the same time, I don't want to get overweighted necessarily in, you know, multifamily or real estate. I'd kind of like to see how this plays out a little bit more. Now, I mean, I'm still learning, right? I've not had a sale transaction yet, right? So I've not been with you guys when one of these has sold. So I don't know what that looks or feels like, okay? I think when that happens, I'll learn a little bit more. And you know, you don't have a problem being overweighted into something that's successful, right? I mean, so if you get convinced like this is even better than you thought it was going to be, then maybe you overweight even more. So I think success breeds success, right? So I'm very optimistic about Ashcroft. I'm not out there looking for other private equity opportunities, right? I mean, or real estate opportunities even for that matter. So if I have money that is needing to be invested somewhere, I'm thinking Ashcroft. It's just been a very, very positive experience overall. I think your website is good. I know you're in the process of sort of changing that over, but you know, you've got a nice dashboard and the portal, all that kind of works good. I also think your communication is good as well. I mean, you know, I've done some investments with other real estate type stuff, not necessarily multifamily, but smaller group, and their communication is not what I would say great. Whereas Ashcroft says, okay, listen, we're going to keep you in the loop. Here's what's going on. Even during the pandemic, think about that, right? The pandemic's going on. You're thinking the world is shut down. Somehow Ashcroft came through all that, at least in my investments, with flying colors. I mean, it was a fantastic story. But the key is there was communication. You know, they're sending out emails. Hey, this is what's going on. Here's our occupancy. Here's our collection history. Here's, you know, we're buying another property. You know, just a monthly update, just a little touch point. Oh, by the way, here's a distribution. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so you keep having these touch points that kind of keep giving you. Silence is a bad thing. Silence in the investment world gets people sort of thinking bad thoughts in dark rooms. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, keep that communication going. I don't think it's too much. I don't need more. You know, I'm not asking for more. I am just saying, hey, I think it's about right. I think about once a month is probably all you need, just a touch point every once in a while to say, here's kind of what's going on. Hey, we're still doing well. Hey, property's still working. Even if it was a negative thing, like, hey, people understand, right? Hey, we had a storm. Hey, we had storm damage, or hey, we had a freeze, or hey, we had an insurance claim, or hey, we had a fire, or whatever the story is, right? Just be communicating, because people freak out in periods of silence. If if there's no good news and people just stop, then the next thing you think is, oh no. And you go into some really bad and dark and scary places in your mind. So you don't want that. You guys are doing a great job of sort of managing the investing community. So no, I'm overall very, very positive on Ashcroft.